You're listening to my favorite podcast,
The Big Buck Registry.
Big Buck Registries.
Big Buck Registries.
Big Buck Registries.
The Big Buck Registries Deer Hunt Podcast.
Welcome to the August 2023 edition of Deer News. In this episode, we will be diving into a range of stories that cover conflicts over deer management strategies, new hunting regulations, illegal hunting charges, discussions on the impact of crossbows on deer population, and ongoing investigations into illegal deer hunting activities. From the heated debate between the Arlington Forestry and Natural Resources Commission and the Animal Welfare League of Arlington to the major rule changes announced by the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources and the felony charges faced by 3 individuals in Pennsylvania for illegal deer hunting, we have a lot to cover. Additionally, we will delve into the West Virginia Deer Association's efforts to foster open and honest dialogue about the impact of crossbows, the investigation by the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry into an illegal deer killing, and the new deer hunting regulations announced by the Missouri Department of Conservation for the 2023 season. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get started.
Now here's Jim Keller with the Deer News.
Our first story, County Commission and Animal Welfare Group disagree over deer population management claims. Arlington, Virginia. The Arlington Forestry and Natural Resources Commission, FNRC, and the Animal Welfare League of Arlington, AWLA, are at odds over how to manage deer in Arlington County. After a consultant identified parts of the county with deer populations exceeding healthy levels, the County Department of Parks and Recreation proposed 4 potential management strategies: sharpshooting, citizen hunting, sterilizing, or building fences. The FNRC supports reducing the deer population to preserve natural resources and argues that lower deer numbers would result in healthier deer and a better environment. They argue that culling programs have been effective in other areas. The AWLA, however, says culling is unwarranted, costly, ineffective, and unsafe. They argue for sterilization as a more humane method and contend that deer are being unfairly blamed for changes in the forest understory. The disagreement has also focused on the actual deer population numbers. AWLA claims Arlington has 13 deer per square mile, much lower than neighboring jurisdictions, and therefore culling would be a premature and ineffective solution. Klingelhofer, the FNRC chair, counters that the rates are higher in forested parts of Arlington, with possibly 60 to 250 deer per square mile in natural areas. Both sides are calling for more discussion and a well-rounded conversation, with AWLA emphasizing the importance of considering all perspectives. While FNRC accuses AWLA of making emotional appeals, AWLA insists on open dialogue and collective consideration for a balanced resolution. The county will seek further public engagement and commission hearings before making a final decision. Our next story comes out of Minnesota. Attention deer hunters. This season brings new regulations into effect. With the fall hunting season approaching in Minnesota, major rule changes have been announced, both loosening and tightening restrictions on state lands. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, DNR, has reduced the number of deer that people can take in parts of northern Minnesota, maintaining low bag limits where regulations have been restrictive already. This reduction is in response to consecutive severe winters that have taken a toll on the deer population in northern parts of the state. In urban areas, deer are generally protected from hunting, often leading to problems with overabundant populations. New rules are also in place for crossbow hunting. Previously, only hunters 60 or older or those with a disability exemption could use crossbows during the archery season. As of August 1st, any hunter with a deer archery license can now use a crossbow. Another change pertains to the use of non-toxic ammunition for special hunts in state parks or scientific and natural areas, though this rule does not apply to shotgun zones. Adult hunters are also now restricted from party hunting on a youth deer license. There are additions to chronic wasting disease, CWD, management zones, and more surveillance will be required due to the spreading infection. Some regions will require mandatory sampling for CWD during the opening weekend of firearms deer season on November 4th, 5. DNR's Big Game Program leader Barb Keller emphasized the importance of hunters familiarizing themselves with these new regulations, even if they haven't been affected in the past. While CWD remains a concern, Keller noted that prevalence has been kept relatively low at about 1% in the area where it has been detected the longest. Our next story turns to Pennsylvania. 3 individuals charged with illegal deer hunting in Fairfield. 3 individuals are facing felony charges for allegedly illegally hunting deer in Fairfield, Pennsylvania. The suspects, Angelica S. Morgan, Michael T. Mattson Jr., and Chase A. Piper, were charged this week with multiple counts of taking big game and using a motorized vehicle while hunting. Additional counts of tampering with evidence were filed against Mattson and Morgan, and Mattson is also accused of unlawfully possessing a firearm due to past felony convictions. The charges were filed after the Pennsylvania Game Commission received a tip on November 22nd regarding the unlawful taking of a buck. Upon investigation, state game wardens discovered that several other deer had been taken illegally. A search of Mattson and Morgan's home on November 22nd resulted in the seizure of deer meat and antlers, and authorities found messages and photographs on their cell phones detailing additional illegal hunting activities. Mattson and Morgan allegedly admitted to deleting some of the evidence and identified Piper as an accomplice. The authorities reported that the men had shot and killed several deer, including 3 in one night in October and November, prior to the start of rifle season. They were also accused of firing shots from inside a vehicle or on the road on several occasions. Morgan was specifically accused of aiding in the recovery of a buck and being present during illegal hunting on November 19th, when 4 deer were either shot at or killed. 3 antlerless deer were later found dead from bullet wounds. Piper and Morgan were arraigned and released on $10,000 unsecured bail, with preliminary hearings set for August 11th. An arrest warrant was issued for Mattson, and as of the report, none of the suspects had attorneys listed in online court records. Crossbow impact on deer population. West Virginia Deer Association's Whitetail Summit to foster open debate. The West Virginia Deer Association is tackling the controversial issue of the impact of crossbows on the deer population at their annual Whitetail Summit. The event, taking place at the Days Inn Hotel and Conference Center in Flatwoods, will feature a presentation by DNR Deer Project leader Brett Skelly, followed by an open forum to discuss the concerns regarding early buck deaths attributed to crossbows. Jeremy Preston, the association's president, has made it clear that the organization is not opposed to crossbows, but wants to foster an open and honest dialogue about the issue. The topic has sparked heated and often unproductive debates online, but the in-person forum aims to encourage meaningful conversation and examination of data to determine whether crossbows are negatively affecting the deer population. In addition to the crossbow issue, the summit will host a seminar by Dr. Grant Woods from Growing Deer TV, focusing on regenerative farming and food plot techniques. The event is free, but attendees must RSVP on the association's website. A banquet is also available for a fee of $50, which includes dinner and membership in the organization. Our next story: probe initiated for illegally hunted deer in Ontario. The Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry in Ontario is in the midst of an investigation concerning a white-tailed deer discovered shot and left deserted on Aids Island, located in West Limcoon Lake, about 43 kilometers to the east of Bancroft. The event transpired earlier this month when a lone gunshot was detected around 4 p.m. on the 16th of August, followed by the finding of a deceased doe on the island's northwest side on the subsequent day. Authorities have verified that the deer was unlawfully killed outside of the designated hunting season, which extends from October until December. Compounding the gravity of the incident, it was disclosed by the ministry that the offender endeavored to extract the bullet from the doe's cranium in a bid to conceal evidence. The ministry is addressing the matter with the highest level of seriousness and is vigorously soliciting information from the public to assist in identifying the individuals accountable for this unlawful deed. Individuals possessing any information are urged to reach out to the ministry's tip line at 1-877-847-7667, toll-free, or to provide information anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Illegal deer hunting not only upsets the ecological equilibrium, but also endangers the indigenous deer populace. Officials tasked with conservation are imploring the public to step forward with any details that could facilitate the identification and capture of the offenders. Our last story. Missouri Department of Conservation announces new deer hunting regulations for 2023. The Missouri Department of Conservation, MDC, has announced several key changes to the deer hunting regulations for the 2023 season. These changes are part of a broader effort to balance deer population, provide opportunities for hunters and trappers, and monitor and control the spread of chronic wasting disease, CWD. One significant change is the introduction of a new firearms early antlerless portion from October 6th through 8th in open counties. This change aims to reduce competition between bow hunters and firearm hunters during late October to early November, which is a prime time for bow and arrow hunting. Maddie Est, a media specialist at the MDC, stated that this change would help mitigate interactions between bow and arrow hunters and firearm hunters, and avoid overlapping firearms with the best time for bow and arrow hunting. Additionally, a new firearms CWD portion has been introduced from November 22nd through the 26th in open counties. There have also been changes to the firearms antlerless permit numbers, and 14 new counties have been added to the CWD management zone. These new counties include Schuyler, Montgomery, Bollinger, Caldwell, Carroll, Clay, Clinton, Dallas, Grundy, Jasper, Livingston, Madison, Pemiscot, and Ray. Est emphasized the importance of monitoring the spread of CWD, a fatal neurological disease affecting deer and other cervids, and maintaining the deer population as it is culturally significant to the state. Hunters are advised to stay informed about the specific regulations applicable to their hunting area by picking up or downloading the 2023 Fall Deer and Turkey Hunting Regulations and Information Booklet. The booklet provides detailed information on a county-by-county basis and is available at the nearest conservation office or online. The MDC is committed to ensuring a sustainable and healthy deer population while providing ample opportunities for hunters and trappers. By adhering to the new regulations, hunters can contribute to the conservation efforts and enjoy a successful hunting season. That concludes this month's edition of the Big Buck Registry's Deer News. If you have any ideas for future topics or have questions about any of these topics, please email me at jim@bigbuckregistry.com. For the Big Buck Registry, this is Jim Keller with the Deer News.
Thanks to Jim Keller for the Deer News, and thank you for tuning in to the Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunt podcast. We can be found on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you would like to support us and our cause, please consider buying some merchandise off of our merch page by visiting www.bigbuckmerch.com. Catch you next time, and good luck in the deer woods.